Oh, okay. Uh, Decided to be colorful today. Um, yeah, it's going to be a colorful rant today. I anticipate that I'll probably lose a really big percentage of my friends on Facebook. I got some things that I want to go over, and I want my position to be made perfectly clear so there's not any confusion on where I stand with the Patriot movement, with the Constitution of the United States. Some years ago, after the Waco, Texas incident, there was a gathering at the old Showboat Hotel and Casino. It was called for by Sheriff, I think his name is McLam, in Beau Grites. And there's about 500 people there. There's a bunch of people there. And it was all about the Waco incident and, the government's murder of, I think it was 93 innocent men, women, and children because, you know what, their First and the Second Amendment unpopular speech just could not be accepted or acceptable in this country. So they murdered him. There's no question about that. Just go watch the video, Waco Revisited. So there was this big meeting, and we were all challenged by Beau Grites to raise our arm and take an oath to the Constitution of the United States to defend it against all enemies, both domestic and foreign. Well, I was there and I did that. Okay, I've never served in the military in any capacity, all right? Not that I wouldn't have gone as a 17, 18-year-old kid, just fresh out of high school. I was in the lottery 2 years running, the draft lottery, for those that don't understand or don't remember what I'm talking about. My number, as I recall, I think it's like 132, okay? That first year in the draft lottery, I think they drafted up to like 128, something, 123. Anyhow, I was really close. So, and then the second year it didn't come near as close. They only drafted, I remember that one really well because I really thought I was going to get drafted. The politicians kept talking about they didn't draft enough the year before, so they're going to draft a lot more in that year, which would have been, I believe that would have been in 71, and I barely missed it the year before. So yeah, I pretty well figured I was going to be drafted. I couldn't get a deferment because I barely got out of high school. So I figured I was going to be drafted. And just that very thought was burdensome to an 18-year-old kid. Back then, the news, every night you get home from school, the news was the latest casualties in the Vietnam War. And back then, they didn't spare your feelings about anything on the news. They showed dead bodies, the body bags, So anyhow, that's at least in that capacity, as affected as I was by the war. My dad being a veteran, a highly decorated veteran, 6 arrowheads, amphibious landings on enemy-held terrain. If you all saw Saving Private Ryan, if that was realistic to you, which I believe it was, my father did that 6 times. Okay, he saw lots of dead, blown up, shot up Americans. Okay, so and it affected him greatly. He was an alcoholic, a functional alcoholic. I can't help but believe that his PTSD really got to him, and he just tried to drink the memories away, just tried to get rid of them, and ultimately that's what killed him. Okay, so that's as far as it affected me and my family, which some will say didn't affect you at all. Others say, wow, that's really affected you a lot. And I bring that up because of this, idea of veterans can do no wrong, it seems like. And I don't understand how it is socially acceptable for a veteran to take somebody's constitutional rights away from them. How is that socially accepted? Do we not just understand that's what's taken place? You know, hey, if we don't understand, we don't understand. Let's figure it out. Let's find out what's going on. There's been a lot of fallout from the protesters, some of the protesters, and some videos that were taken there in Pahrump with these two alleged veterans. Now, I'm going to continue to say alleged until I would see paperwork showing me the opposite. Okay. And I'm not from Missouri either. But fool me once, you know, that's your fault. Fool me twice, it's my fault. And I'm tired of being fooled. You know, the standing joke at Malheur Refuge is there were 15 patriots there and 30 of them were informants. Okay, so you get where I'm coming from there? All right. So, anyhow, let's just say for the sake of argument that these two individuals are veterans on two different days, that they decided that it's okay to go and deny the protesters their First Amendment rights. Wow, really? How does that work? Oh, okay, you're a veteran. You took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, to defend it against all enemies, both domestic and foreign. But now it's okay because you feel that the flag is being disrespected, so you can go and take somebody else's constitutional rights from them. How is a flag being disrespected? It's an inanimate object. It has no feelings. So what you're really saying is you were disrespected. That's what you're really saying. You were disrespected. And all the people that is on their side, you know, feel like somehow they personally were disrespected. I want somebody to explain to me how you were disrespected. Okay? Because the flag has symbolism that is based in principle, that is founded in the Constitution of the United States. Okay? You can't disrespect symbolism. It is what it is. It stands on its own. It stands on eternal principles. What does it say in the Old Testament? You don't break the laws of God. You dash yourself to pieces against those laws. Okay? And that which is bound by law is perfected and sanctified by the same. Mormons will know all about that one. So, how were you disrespected by the flag being flown upside down? Let me remind you, there was a half a dozen veterans there that were flying the flag upside down. Let me remind you that you had got like a half a dozen prison inmates that are veterans that are being totally disrespected. Their constitutional rights have been stolen from them. Where's the outcry? Where's the outrage on that? And to that veteran who said they got due process, go back and reconsider your oath in the Constitution, because you obviously didn't get it before. Yeah. No, they didn't have due process. They'd been denied their Eighth Amendment rights. Okay? That's not due process, my friend. But you can go out of your way to ambush a young mother with her little children there who's handcuffed, and you can scream at her and threaten her. Hell yeah, you're a coward. Are you kidding me? Jeez. I call you a coward. Yeah, you're a coward. You know. Stand up for some principle, would ya? And I'll change that salutation. Yeah. And to all those people, and this is the one that gets me the most, by far, you got actual members of the family of people that are in prison that are accusing the patriots. And the protesters making things worse. What are you going to do after a couple of years when your loved ones are in prison, and all of a sudden it hits you, they never had a chance. You're going to wish that you would have screamed louder, charged harder, demanded more. But you can't go back and do that now, can you? No, you can't do that. Judge Gloria Gorbachev Navarro committing treason right under our noses. Right under the nose of the U.S. Marshals, the FBI that's there, Metro Police Department, and the Department of Homeland Security. Right under their nose. And they're part of the mechanism and the machinery that's doing it. Oh, but you can't disrespect them by telling them the truth. Yeah. You can't do that now, can you? Telling the truth is disrespectful? You know, my prophet, Joseph Smith, said, your best friend is the one that gives you the words of life. Yeah, which is the truth. You know what? For the most part, I see one person consistently out there where the rubber meets the road in a grassroots movement is one man, practically grassroots movement, trying to give them the words of life, the truth. And that's Gavin Syme. And you guys are saying he's disrespectful? Whoa. No, you're disrespectful because you lied to them and you think it's okay. You know, I talked to one of the Department of Security guys. He's a really nice guy. I forgot his name. He served 2 tours. Yeah, he served 2 tours. And he's a Christian. And he's always saying things, he was always saying things like, have a blessed day. And that's cool. I appreciate that. The fact is, he's part of the mechanism and machinery that is committing treason in this country as we speak, or as I speak to you, or as if I have spoken to you on the steps of the courthouse with people like John Lamb and Kelly Stewart and Andrea Parker and all those people, you know. Yeah. And you turn and you see, 23 Metro Police Department, 23 Department of Homeland Security. You go up in the courtroom and there's a half a dozen FBI agents there and there's U.S. Marshals all over the place, and they are protecting and supporting treason in this country. And I see one person who's trying to awaken them up. Because I don't care. You can say you're a Christian all day long. Have you really been reborn? Do you completely have a completely different outlook and embrace principle, eternal principle? Well, that Department of Homeland Security officer is nice enough. He was kind enough. He was cordial. But he's committing treason. Oh, no, he's not committing treason. Just the people he's protecting is committing treason. Oh, yeah? Do you remember Elijah the prophet when the captains of 50 came to him and said, we know you're a righteous man. We know the king down here is not a righteous man, but we're going to do his bidding. He came up here. He sent us up here to arrest you and take you and throw you in prison. And what did God have to say about that? Oh, Elijah says, because you know I'm a righteous man, be thou consumed. The fire came down from heaven, from God, and burned him to a crisp. And this happened twice. We're talking 100 people that were just doing their job. Whoa. You think that's the type and shadow of a warning that God's trying to give people today? You know? How much worse is that going to be? Because you can't hide from yourself in the next life. You can't hide from anything or anybody. Everything you do and say will be made known not only to you, but to everybody. The scripture says all things should be made known to God. You can't hide from yourself at that point in time. You can't hide behind a badge. You can't hide behind the government. You can't hide behind any alphabet soup agency that employs you. You can't hide at that time. And your shame will be known throughout the universe. So you're not born again. I don't care how much you spout off being a Christian, a spiritual warrior. No, you're lying to yourself. And that's the worst person in the world to lie to, is yourself. Because you will actually start to believe your lies. And then your bands have been made strong. As the scriptures say, you're bound up. You're not going anywhere. You are in the worst prison possibly that you could imagine. And that prison continues after this life. At least be honest with yourself. Please be honest with yourself. Okay. I don't know. I think I've said pretty much everything that I intended to say. I do want to go back to First Amendment rights. The First Amendment was made for unacceptable social speech. Not something socially accepted, because our founding forefathers saw what was going to happen eventually. The First Amendment is for socially unacceptable speech. All right? Get that through your head. It's not smooth things, as Isaiah said. In our time, people would want to just hear, in the New Testament too, smooth things. They don't want to be insulted or disrespected in this case. They just want to hear something that makes them feel good. No, the First Amendment is not for feel-good speech. It's for the truth, and the truth will always hurt. If the truth doesn't hurt, that's only because you haven't heard it before. The truth will always hurt. It will always challenge you to change your perspective, to change your direction of life. Yeah, it's tough. It's hard, because you got to change your direction of life, and that's what the truth does. But it's going to change real soon. In case you haven't noticed, this country is being attacked from top to bottom. You know, the land rights issue, I said it before, is way greater than the presidency. Because the land rights issue is our natural resources for we the people to take care of ourselves, to feed ourselves, to house and clothe ourselves. That's what the land rights issue is. That is what natural resources are all about. You take the natural resources away from we the people, and there is no future. You know, it's like Putin said about the presidency. Presidents come and go. The direction of this country doesn't change. Hasn't changed over 100 years, 200 years. Why? Because we have a shadow government. You know, comes by many names. But to them, this land rights issue is where it's really at. Make no mistake about it. That's why Judge Gloria Gorbachev-Navarro has totally eviscerated the Constitution in her court. It's eviscerated. There is no Constitution. There is no law in the federal courts. And yet, we the people continue to drink the Kool-Aid, accept their narrative that for some reason they belong there and we got to win it in the courts. Whoa, that's not we the people I know. No, we the people I know is our founding forefathers and what they would have done. Oh, you want to give us a small tax? I'll just throw all the tea in the harbor. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Oh, you want to come and take our guns? Well, we'll start shooting you all right now. That's what our founding forefathers did. You know, unfortunately, this country's been watered down. The true people have been watered down. The true spirit of patriotism has been watered down. It doesn't exist. And now the federal courts can do whatever they want in these land rights issues, and they will kill all of us. Get that in your head. You know, it's death by 1,000 small cuts. A little cut here, a little cut there, another little cut, and you're bleeding out. It's just a matter of time. Yeah, death by 1,000 cuts, and you will completely bleed out. Why? because you drank the Kool-Aid. You're accepting the government's narrative on all this stuff. And you're afraid. You're afraid to speak up. Face it, you're afraid. You know, if everybody would have followed through at the Malheur Refuge, I'm really going to hurt some feelings now. But if everybody would have followed through, it had a totally different outcome. You know, we had a few brave souls that, you know, like Lavoy Finicum, who put their actions where their words were. A few people like Ammon and Ryan Bundy and Shauna Cox and people like that. And the rest were just AWOL. Yeah. Yeah. If CISPA, Sheriff Mack would have fallen through. Sheriff Mack would have gone out there and say, hey, you know what? This is a lands rights constitutional issue. We can't give in to this. Because if we give in, we're just going to lose more ground. Okay? And there's no end in sight. If the 3%ers, if the Oath Keepers, if PPN, all of them would have said, you know what? This is worth fighting for. We got to stop. This is an opportunity for us to stand up and make a real statement that we are not going to allow our natural resources to be stolen from we the people anymore. And look who turns out who got it. The Clinton Foundation, the Russians, and whoever out there, big corporations that have been lying and stealing, and the banksters for over 200 years. They're the ones that got it. Yeah, the Hammonds are still in prison. You know, what they do to one person, they do to you. Look at the Hammonds, for example. For heaven's sakes, are you kidding me? Here. Sounds like B-52s flying over. U.S. government posturing. You know, let's go threaten the whole world. Because after all, they're all evil, right? Yeah. After all, they all want to kill us here at home. That's another whole story. Dwight and Stephen Hammond, all right? Billions of dollars of uranium and other precious metals on their land. Oh, they get up and start a backfire to save their ranch from a lightning strike. No, it wasn't even a lightning strike. I sat and listened to two witnesses who saw the BLM with dread torches light the fire around their ranch. But they're in prison for domestic terrorism, arson. Oh. And we the people, the 3%ers, PPN. I'm sorry. You guys allowed that. And to Dwight and Stephen Hammond, really? You had an opportunity to stand too. God bless you. But you had an opportunity to stand. And you didn't. I'm sorry. You should have stood. I know I would have. No problem there. I don't care. Heaven can freeze over. Hell can freeze over. Heaven can fail. Should have stood. All of us should have stood. Every single one of them should have stood and said, hell no. Now, after the fact, we look like a paper tiger. Yeah, we look like a paper tiger. Had everybody followed through with upholding their oath, it'd be a whole different situation right now. You know, we didn't need 10,000 people out there. I mean, seriously, 1,000 people who are totally determined to uphold their oath, to stand by the Constitution, to stand by America, stand by our freedoms and liberties, to stand by our fellow man. Completely different outlook. We wouldn't even be having this conversation. We'd still probably be celebrating, you know, the land rights issues and freedom in America. Yeah, but here we are, aren't we? Fighting, squabbling with each other. Who's getting money? Who's not getting money? Who offended who? God, it's embarrassing. It's shameful. Wow. When I sit and look back at it, think about it, I just shake my head. We are all to blame. We really are. We are all to blame in one shape or another that we continue to go down this road. We can't identify the real enemy, So far, we've met the enemy, and it is ourselves. The truth hurts. It really does hurt, Get over yourself, people. Take a long, hard look at the truth. Take a long, hard look at the Constitution of the United States, please. There's been tens of thousands of those things handed out. You got people like David Zionberger, that's all he does all day long. Believe me, I had him for weeks. He doesn't leave the house unless he's got a stack of constitutions like that. And he has no qualms about handing them out anywhere and everywhere. And I commend you for that, David. And not just them, but John Lamb and Kelly Stewart, Gavin Syme, and so many others. They're always handing out pocket constitutions. Why? Because that's where their heart really is. And there's people out there want to brutalize them for a perceived error, a perceived mistake. And I don't even see a mistake personally. I don't see any errors that they did, And just for the sake of argument, it's very rarely that I unfriend anybody, because I look at everybody as a work in progress, And the only way you can get me to unfriend you is with a lot of foul-mouthed language, a lot of accusations. If you're wrong, you're wrong. I'll give you the grace to a grace period to recognize your mistake. It's really hard to get unfriended by me. But if you feel that you need to unfriend me, it's your loss. That's all I can say. It's your loss. So anyhow, I think this is probably long enough. God bless everybody. Let's see if we can't get this. Let's see if we can't get this boat on an even keel again. Let's fix the rudder. Let's fix the sails. Let's let's make a real stand. How's that? Does that resonate? I hope so. Thank you. Bye-bye. God bless.